Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Yellow, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 2, and today we tackle a new DLC. So here's just a quick look at our gear. We are using Silverius. You will remember him from the last DLC, and if you want to see anything specific or if you missed something, feel free to pause the video. Pretty standard gear, still using my Key to the Embedded because I'm still in love with that piece of weaponry. But let's get started. So I'm sure by now you all know how to access this particular set of DLC. You take out the Iron King in the Iron Keep, and then once you've done that, go behind the Primal Bonfire, and you will find another shrine just like we saw at the Primal Bonfire for the Rotten, just like we've seen at the Shrine of Winter. And once you've done that, it will wish you away to this wonderful Ashen Land where we can find lots and lots of really interesting loot. Right away out of the fog gate, absolutely gorgeous piece of scenery. Unfortunately, the set pieces in the background leave a lot to be desired, but everything up close and personal is absolutely gorgeous. First things first, examine this statue, pick up 6 Smelter Wedges, which will actually come in handy very soon here. Run across this chain. Now if you've watched any speedrunners, you know there's a little trick here. If you're just going for speed, you can actually use a silver cat ring and roll onto that archway, and you can actually survive that fall, bypassing a small chunk here right in the beginning, but since we want all the items, we won't be doing that. As you approach this, Ashen Idol will appear. Go ahead and examine and use the Smelter Wedge so we can take it out. Notice you are invincible while you're actually driving the wedge, but not immediately before and not immediately after. So we get our first piece of the Soul of Nadalia, the Bride of Ash. We'll be talking more about that in just a moment, but run down these stairs and you can pick up the Dexterity Ring. Wearing this ring will give you an extra +5 to your Dexterity, so if you're looking for a Soul Level 1 run that's not quite as challenging, there's a couple of rings in this DLC you may want to pick up. Next on this platform, we have a pair of Old Growth Balm. Nothing new there. And running outside here, we do run into our very first Ashen Warrior. Very easy to get a backstab when they're just coming out of the ash. And then here we have a couple of Twilight Herbs. Now this Ashen Warrior actually dropped the Battle Axe for us, which is nothing new. It's from the vanilla game. You can buy it from Lenigrast, but you can get them here too. Large Soul of a Proud Knight. Some of these ash statues, these old corpses, do have some souls hidden in them, so keep in mind that just walking over the statues will cause them to break and will reveal any potentially hidden items in it. And running down this hallway will trigger a trap, so keep that in mind. But once he's gone, you can pick up a Rouge Water. Next, you can skip the ladders if you desire, which I do, but run around the back of this platform, grab yourself a Blackweed Balm. Hop down again. There is an item behind us. We'll be back for that later. But first, we go this way. We'll pick up 10 Prism Stones. And then in this iron chest, we can grab ourselves a Titanite Slab. And then I'm going to prepare to go down here in just a moment, because down here we do want to take out this Ashen Idol very quickly, because this Ashen Idol actually protects the Ashen Warriors in a layer of ash, which means that you actually can't kill them until that ash dissipates. But now that the idol is destroyed, the ash falls away, and we can now actually kill these enemies. And with them down, we can pick up another piece of Nadalia's soul. Now don't forget to go into this side room. There are 2 Ashen Warriors waiting for us. Here I am actually using a shield for once. I know, it's crazy talk. But more importantly, we have a new pyromancy, the Dance of Fire, which creates a sweeping pyromancy that can actually be really difficult to dodge. I've heard very good things about its use in PvP. So before we push on, we are actually going to backtrack just a little bit. First, we're going to grab that item we ran past that's on the pillar, which is our Scythe +7. And then carefully hop down, and we will encounter our first possessed armor, who have very, very unique attack patterns. I'm very glad to see them changing it up a bit. And then down this hallway to the left, there's an iron chest. And inside, we'll grab ourselves a Bonfire Ascetic and a pair of human effigies. And now, instead of going back to the same way that we went down originally, we're going to go down here, and at this ledge, you can normally perform a plunging attack on the Ashen Warrior, but he actually backed up for some reason. So instead, we'll just hop down, take him out, grab ourselves a small orange burr, and now we're back in the room that previously held the Ashen Idol. You can see below these grates there are a couple of iron chests, and I'll show you how to get those in just a moment. It's actually very obvious, however, I managed to miss it during my blind run, so don't make the same mistake I did. Outside, break this last Ashen Corpse, grab ourselves a couple of old Mundane Stones. Then as we're approaching this item, there is an ambush. We have a dual battle axe wielding Ashen Warrior here, and then a halberd wielding warrior here. Take them out. And then on this corpse we have 5 Lloyd's Talismans, and then right behind us a very well marked hidden door, hidden in quotes, that gives us access to the 2 chests we saw earlier. The chest on the left will give us 4 old Radiant Lifegems and 4 Wilted Dusk Herbs. And on the right, we'll grab a pair of soul vessels. So now we'll head back up this ashen ramp. I always want to say snowy ramp, and I have to remember that it's ash. This is not snow. This is not a cold area. It's just the charred remains of heroes that have come before us that have littered the landscape and look like snow. Kind of a nasty thought. Showing you a little shortcut here. Really doesn't save you all that much time, but if you want to avoid the cask holders and the fire-breathing statue, you can do that. Grab yourselves the golden bomb fruit, and then I like to use these cask carriers to actually take out the possessed armor for me. Just get them to back up a little bit, and that's it. Now here the drops are not that far, so feel free to walk down. And here's a little pro tip for you. For this enemy, make sure you get right to the edge and let him knock you off, and you'll see why in a moment. Because that way, when you fall down, you're completely unprepared for the 2 Ashen Warriors below you. Just a little something I came up with. Look at me using a shield. I'm actually proud of myself right now. Alright, this Ashen Warrior dropped for us the Charcoal Pine Resin, and in the chest behind him, we have the Caestus +8. Kestis, Cestus, don't know, don't care. This guy decided to join the party. Now, as for these Ash Warriors, we saw that they can drop the Charcoal Pine Resin, Small Orange Burr, and Battle Axe. They can also drop the Ashen Warrior Sword, which is unique to them, and they can drop the Halberd. Obviously, the weapons that they drop are dependent on the type of Ashen Warrior that they are. Don't expect the sword-wielding Ashen Warrior to drop the Battle Axe, the Halberd, or vice versa. Here we are in the central room. Lots to be discovered, lots of areas to explore. Very easy to get lost, but this is the method that I have found that seems to work best for me. Not going on that elevator, because it's not active yet. But, walk off this ledge. Apparently land on the door frame. Now, there's no items over here, but I wanted to show you how you can open this door. Take a black firebomb, or a regular firebomb, and throw it at the base of the door. There are explosive barrels on the other side that are preventing the door from being opened. It's not actually locked, But you can open it that way. You can open it from another area as well, but this is the easiest method that I found. But if you want to take this guy out and prevent him from throwing the firebombs at you while you're fighting the other enemies in an already tough area, feel free to go and do what I just did. And next we have, behind this iron door, some more of the cask runners. Now we're going to actually use them to our benefit in just a little bit here, but first we'll grab these 3 Radiant Lifegems. And now we're going to try to corral them. Now they can become aggressive and they can try to attack you. They won't actually explode on their own, but if you can get behind them, you can actually kind of herd them, kind of like sheep or cattle, other farm animals that can be herded. Not cats. I've heard cats are difficult to herd. I don't know. I'll take your guys' word on it. But we'll get a couple of these guys down there. Come on. And then once they are, we can use them to our advantage. Granted, at this point, it only took out one of the Ashen Warriors, but that's okay because now we can just cheese the other 2. One down. And 2 down, and now all we have to deal with is the 1 Iron Warrior and the Ashen Idol. Now, as I'm sure most of you probably already know, the Iron Warriors can be difficult because not only do they have that massive hammer, that smelter hammer that they use, but they also have this lava spewing, or these lava spewing heads on their shoulders that can actually knock you out of poise and prevent you from doing any damage and giving you damage at the same time. So always try to stay on the side that's not currently spewing lava. I know you're probably not used to me actually giving you tips on how to fight enemies, but stay out of the lava. That's my tip. And we'll get ourselves the Flame Quartz Ring +3, which will give us an extra 150 fire defense, which actually probably would have been pretty useful just now. But we'll drive this wedge into the Ashen Idol, grab ourselves another piece of Nadalia's soul, and we'll move on. Pull this very heavy lever down so we can open these very heavy doors. And outside, small ambush here with a possessed armor. Very easy if you start attacking just as soon as you can lock on. No big deal. 5 large Titanite shards, a human effigy, 2 Twinkling Titanites, and a dried root. I am so glad that dried root made its triumphant return into this DLC because, frankly, I'm not sure how long I could survive without it. Probably just as long as I could survive with it. And here we are introduced to the Flame Sorcerers, one of which I decided to knock off the cliff instead of trying to get their drops. But they can drop some pretty good items. They can drop their armor set, an Umbral Dagger, and a Blue Dagger. Now the Umbral Dagger cannot be infused, but it has really, really good backstab damage. The Blue Dagger, however, will actually give you an extra 5% to your spell damage when it's held in the opposing hand as a spell catalyst, a chime, pyromancy flame, things of that nature. Now this is not a drop that you just want to jump down, so go ahead and take the ladder. Now there are quite a few enemies in this area, so either be quick, get out, or have a really good shield handy. We have 2 left that we know of, and then there are 2 surprises that we'll see in just a moment here. Not handle this as effectively as I could have. That's alright. With those enemies dead, we can begin looting this area. Now there are 2 surprises, as I said. There's number 1. Not too difficult, especially when you know about it already. Grab ourselves a large soul of a proud knight. And then inside this statue, we have a soul of a hero. And then 1 more soul item to pick up after this ambush. And we get a soul of a great hero. Very nice. Going back inside the tower, we're going to take this staircase to the left. We're not actually going to go over to the opposing tower just yet, but we are going to go over into this corner and grab ourselves the raw stone. We'll be heading over into that tower once we've discovered the item that'll give us the plus 1000 curse resistance, so we don't just get cursed over and over. But going through this fog wall, we will come to the center area yet again. Cannot open that door yet until we have the tower key, but up on these stairs we do have the foyer bonfire. So a good safe haven for us. Grab ourselves the Spell Quartz Ring +3. So just like the Flame Quartz Ring +3, this one will give us 150 extra defense against spell damage. But from the bonfire, after we rest and refill our Estus, we'll go ahead and take the path directly behind us. Don't forget to pick up your 2 magic stones here, and now we're going to go into an area with plenty of the cask runners, some fume sorcerers, and the like. I like to roll through the jars here so we can get wet and we can get a little bit more fire defense, since there will be some explosions, there will be some fire. Michael Bay would be proud. Topical. Now we want to try to save some of these cask runners because there are 2 breakable walls in this area, and we do need the cask runners to blow up near the walls in order for us to actually access the hidden area behind it. Don't forget to pull the levers so you can open up all the shortcuts. Thank God for iframes. And here's an actual tip. If the flame sorcerers ever actually disappear, which you'll see happens in just a moment, if they flash behind you, do a quick roll backwards. You can often get a good backstab that way. You can see that this silly cast runner has decided that he's going to walk around very slowly and try to hit me in the head with a barrel, which seems rude. So here's an example of them using the Simpleton's Ring. But 1 roll behind and then we can get a backstab. I'm just backtracking because I know that I forgot a lever to open. Top off the old HP. And let's go deal with this last fume sorcerer in this area. That way we can explore for the hidden walls a little bit easier. Now watch out for that AoE, because it's like the Scraps of Life, but with lightning. It's a very cool spell, and I wish that we could get it. And here one of the cast runners accidentally opened one of the walls already for us. Not sure why I decided to follow that, but behind this wall we have an iron chest, and inside we have 2 more pieces of the Katarina set. This time we get the gauntlets and we get the leggings. So far from the 2 DLC, we have the helmet, we have the gauntlet, we have the leggings. Do we think that we're going to complete the set next DLC? I think it's a safe bet. That's just me. We do have 1 more hidden wall, which I just looked at it, but don't worry, I'll go back and find it again. There it is. So now we just need to corral one of the cast runners over there, which can be easier said than done. Make sure you have your fire bombs equipped. As soon as they're in the right area, or at least nearby, pretty big AoE, go ahead and chuck that fire bomb, blow up that wall. And collect your 8 petrified dragon bones as a reward. And now we can actually continue through the rest of the area. Now we do have another Iron Warrior in kind of a tight area, so make sure you take him out carefully. Now, word of note with the Iron Warriors, there's a few different items that you can pick up. You can get their weapon, which is the Smelter Hammer, which is an incredibly heavy, beastly piece of weaponry, which I guess you can imagine. But you can also get the Minotaur Helm, which is shaped just like these Minotaur statues. You can also get Titanite Slabs, and you can get Fire Drake Stones. And with this Iron Warrior down, now we can pull the last couple of levers, open up all the shortcuts. We will push on and we'll open up one more shortcut in just a moment here that'll give us direct access to the foyer bonfire. So before we cross that chain, we'll run down here, turn left, climb the ladder. We'll pick up the ever popular dried root and pull this last lever. And from here you can actually see the bonfire. In fact, why not go rest at it? The nice thing about the shortcut is that there are no enemies in between here and where we just were, so you can feel free to rest, refill your Estus, refill your health and whatnot. Don't recommend dropping. It is a little bit of a drop. You'll survive, depending on your health, but you'll take a good chunk of damage. And now we run back outside. We'll cross this chain, which, by the way, I think was brilliant level design in order to make this a much larger world than it actually is, just by having separate towers that you have to cross giant chains to get to. So kudos on that. And now we have the ash crawlers to deal with, which do have a few different types of attacks. They will lunge at you like this. They will just swipe at you if you're too close. Or if you're too close and they just don't feel like attacking, they'll actually kill themselves by exploding, which will do a massive area of effect explosion, kill themselves, and do a lot of damage to anything around it, including other ash crawlers. Also, if they get exploded nearby, if one of them explodes near other ash warriors, the other ones that have survived will become inflamed, or if you light them on fire, they'll become inflamed, and you will take area of effect damage just by being near them. In this corner, we have a pair of petrified dragon bone, and from here, we are going to go deal with the invader before we get a super secret item in that room right there. So we'll go ahead and take out Quicksword Rachel. You can cheese her. If you climb the ladder back up to the top, she will follow you, and you can get her to fall down for at least 75% of her health, if not more. And then, as long as you don't let her heal, she's not too much to deal with after that. But as long as you have a decent shield, it just becomes a sword and board battle that you can win fairly easily. This is unlike the other invader that we'll deal with in the next episode. If she's going to turtle, make sure you break that guard. I also really love the fact that Rachel can use not only the charcoal pine resin, but she can also use the aromatic oozes and other buffs. But with her dead, before we explore these doors in front of us, we're going to climb back up, because there is a hidden item that you can only get by climbing to the top of this and rolling. Or running off, at least. And don't worry if you didn't find this during your original run, because I didn't either. But now that I have, tell you what, I don't think I could be happier. There is an ash crawler in the other room. I tried to cheese him, because if you jump over there and he hits you, you could fall backwards. You won't die from the fall, but better safe than sorry. Unfortunately, the wall was just in my way. So instead, I decide, alright, let's just get this over with. Attempt number 1. Right, you've got to jump. That's right. I'm going to put the silver cat ring on just in case I miss this first roll, which I haven't yet, but I imagine that fall could be pretty dangerous. Oh, right. You forgot to jump again. Got it. And in today's episode of What You Shouldn't Do, exactly what I just did. Twice. Third time's a charm, though, right? Right. So we'll run back down. This time I don't jump, but I still somehow make it. Who knew? So we'll take out this guy. Don't let him explode, because that would have been a terrible position. And what is it? It's a dried root. It's a single, solitary, dried root. So my advice, don't bother. But now we'll feel free to hop down, change out the silver cat ring, start opening these doors one by one. So there's the explosion effect, lighting the other ash crawler on fire. You can see I'm taking residual damage just because I'm standing in his flames, which makes sense. I'm certainly not complaining. We're going to come back to this because that is the correct way down. We do have some other doors to explore. Explosion. It could be just me, it could be purely anecdotal, but it does seem that they have a higher tendency of exploding when there are other ash crawlers around. And maybe that's because it's almost like a buff for the other enemies in the area. Again, I could be making things up, but that's been my experience so far. Now in here, these are not free items. There is an ambush. You can hear it when you come in, but just for confirmation, you do have a Fume Sorcerer, so be prepared. 2 Twinkling Titanites, and Recollection is our reward. Recollection is a hex, and this is like Dark Orb, except the orbs actually seek out their target, and actually seek them out pretty well. And sadly, nothing in this last room. So we'll go back to the original door that we opened. I'm going to climb down yet another ladder. And we're going to make our way towards the Scorching Iron Scepter, which will open up the rest of the level for us. But not before we take out a few more ash crawlers. Now, they won't pay attention to you until you either grab the scepter or you attack one of them. But once you attack one of them, get out of dodge. Several of them will often explode at the same time, and you don't want to be caught in that blast. What you do want to do, however, is cause them to get caught in each other's blast. There's nothing wrong with that. And just one remaining. And with him down, we can pick up the dung pie they left behind. And grab the Scorching Iron Scepter that we'll use just outside of the foyer bonfire which will put a lot of mechanics in motion and will give us access to areas that were previously inaccessible. And as far as items go, that's actually going to do it for this episode. I anticipate this series being about 3 episodes because of the multiple paths that you have to take, especially with the area of the optional boss, the Blue Smelter 2.0. But let's make our way back to the foyer bonfire, which we will pick up from next time. Not that I think that it's going to catch too many of you off guard, but this elevator obviously does have an Ash Warrior, so just be ready for that. Instead of just homeward boning or using the H-Feather to get out of here, I did want to show where you come out once you ride that elevator. Because you hop down here, land on some boxes, and now we're back at the entrance of this secondary tower. But from here, now we will use our H-Feather. We'll get out of here, and we'll head back to the foyer bonfire. And that is going to wrap up the very first episode, so I hope you learned something. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know. If I missed something, don't forget to let me know that as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.